If you've been around me for any length of time, you will hear me talk about two books that changed my life, Building a Story Brand and Unreasonable Hospitality. And I genuinely believe that every single business and leader should read these two books because one helps you talk about what you do and one helps you actually deliver what you do in a way that makes people remember you and talk about you to other people. So if you've ever felt like your marketing should be working but isn't, or you're trying to deliver something great but it's just not translating, this conversation is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. Welcome to Badass Softy, a podcast for leaders who are unapologetically ambitious and want to lead with heart because you're allowed to chase big goals without losing what makes you human. I'm your host, Dr. JJ Peterson, and today's conversation is one I have really been looking forward to because I get to sit down with two of my really good friends, Sonya Whittam and Julie Firth, the founders of Story22. They help companies get clear about what they offer in a way that actually makes people see the value of the company. And then they make sure that clarity shows up in the experience as well. And you know that it's working for them because Story22 has actually been named one of UK's top 100 small businesses 4 years in a row. And even more than that, what I love is that their clients are showing up on those lists as well. They are incredible, not only at doing the work themselves, but helping other people. And in today's conversation, we get into how to create messaging that actually lands, and then how to design experiences people talk about, and how those two things go together. And what's kind of fun, sneak peek, is we also talk about something we are doing together this summer, which is I am flying to London and working with Story22 to host a live event in London where we're bringing these two worlds together. StoryBrand and Unreasonable Hospitality, where for 2 days, attendees can actually work on their business, clarify their message, and then design an experience that your customers won't forget. So I'm so excited to introduce you to my friends and have you hear this conversation with Sonya Whittam and Julie Firth. Julie and Sonya, I am so excited to have you on the podcast. We have traveled the world together. We have been together at conferences in Boston. We've been together in Holland. We are getting together in Anaheim. We're going to be together in London. You are some of my favorite people to be around, and that alone makes it so that you needed to come on the podcast. But the reality is, part of what I love is how much we laugh and joke around and all of those things, but also how much you inspire me in the work that you do. I truly believe that you are the epitome of Badass Softy, and that's why I wanted you on the podcast. So thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, wow. I'm blushing.
I mostly mean every word. No, I really do. And I'm so excited. We're going to be doing, we'll talk about it a little bit, but we're doing an event in London this summer together, a conference called Be the Obvious Choice, where you can kind of position your company as the obvious choice for your customers. But what I want to talk about a little bit today, first off, is how did two powerhouses like you come together and build an agency, a marketing agency, a branding agency, so well and work? I mean, you worked together so well. How did the two of you, your backstory, how did you come together?
Should I take this one, Sonya?
Okay, you go.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having us on. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's a real kind of honour to be sort of sharing this space with you. We're very excited. We actually got together through the book Building a Story Brand, I think, in terms of the business, but Sonya and I have been working together on, for a charity for a few years before that. We realised we had gelled really well. Sonya was doing the digital marketing. I was head of marketing for this adoption fostering agency. And we realised we kind of had something special in terms of the working relationship. And at the time, I was doing a master's degree, and I was looking at my dissertation was at story marketing. Sonya had introduced me to the book Building a Story Brand, and then I'd kind of gone off, studied your thesis, JJ, as part of my work there, and looked at how story played a part in charities as well, in the third sector, and how it could be used internally to resolve conflict. Off the back of that, I was chatting to my mum. We told her about the StoryBrand workshop in America, and we kind of dared each other. Sonya and I were like, well, if you ever fancy going, just let me know. And anyway, we did end up on a flight together, got to Nashville, had an absolute blast in Nashville. I should say this was 2020. This was the end of January, early February. On the flight back home, there was a chap in front of us in the row in front who was wearing a full-on World War II gas mask, and we had a good old giggle at his excesses. Little did we know at the time the whole world was about to go into lockdown.
You would be in masks very shortly, yeah.
And literally on the flight home, we were just like, should we give it a go? Should we set up a business together? And not quite expecting it to be the immediate success it was. And I think that was the thing with COVID. As soon as we went into lockdown, we picked up a lot of customers straight away, people looking to develop their messaging, to find a way out of this unusual, unprecedented crisis. And as they say, the rest is history. So there was 6 years on now.
That's wild. I remember when you came to the training. I mean, and I remember how much fun you guys had in Nashville, which is why we've had a lot of fun all over the world as well. You ladies like to enjoy your visits abroad, and so we've always had so much fun. Well, that'll be another podcast that we can talk about that. Sonya, what was it? I mean, this is part of, what also obviously connected us was the story part of it. But, as you kind of were getting into this story brand world and helping people clarify their message, what was it about the story brand part of it that really drew you, the story part of it that really drew you to helping people?
I think actually it's one of the things that Julie and I really connected on first was that we didn't like the kind of black hat marketing, kind of tactics of really aggressively selling to people or, trying to give them something they didn't need. And, I personally loved the way that StoryBrand flipped that. And, it's all about this generosity to your customers and thinking about them and helping them get what they want. And I think, as we've worked with clients across the years, what we found is we are connected to really good businesses, that people really care about their customers, they care about their staff. And this kind of story, the methodology, the framework is really powerful in a marketing standpoint. It's really great at communicating that message really clearly, getting across to your customers, helping conversions, but also it builds this kind of framework of, I think, generosity. You look at the way that we write lead generators, we're giving information away. We're not trying to kind of hold the, information back. And I think that has been biggest eye-openers for somebody who's worked in marketing for a long time, just how you kind of twist that, how it draws in people that we like to work with, that link into the values that we have. And that's been wonderful for us because we've got to work with some fantastic and amazing businesses and business owners and staff within those businesses.
I mean, that's the part obviously that I've always drawn to as well, is just this idea that I don't ever consider myself somebody who, if you would have told me 12 years ago you're going to be a marketer, you're going to be a salesperson, I would be like, no, I don't like that. I don't like marketing. I don't like sales. But when you can approach it from a perspective of serving people and really being the guide, really coming in and saying, hey, I've been where you've been. I understand what you're going through, and I'm going to help you overcome this. Then I was like, well, that's not selling and marketing, that's serving. And that is what really, I think, always draws me back to this space.
Yeah. I think the power of actually giving someone a way to market their business that they feel comfortable with cannot be underestimated. We've had this sounds awful, but we've had multiple clients in tears. It's not something that we don't set out to do that. But like, just to kind of give you a little bit of insight, there was one couple, actually, JJ, they were at the London workshop back in 2023. We're still working with them now. And I'll never forget when we did the messaging for them, she burst into tears. You know, she was genuinely overwhelmed that finally what she wanted to say had a voice, and she couldn't find a way to say that without feeling salesy. And suddenly, when that was interpreted using the framework, it made her feel comfortable, finally, that she could show people that she was just there to help her customers, that she feels really passionately about, and she just couldn't find a way to pull that together. So when you hear that back, and essentially it's their words that they're sharing with you, we just kind of interpret that for them. When she heard that back, it was just this relief of like years of struggling to articulate that herself, and it feels, it must be the same for, you know, the people that you've worked with as well, that this relief when things finally fall into place for them, and it's a really magical moment.
I was going to say, we had that with a big multinational as well. We were around the table with sort of 14 people around the world who had spent 2 years trying to work out essentially their brand script. They worked with 3 agencies before us, so we were the 4th agency in, and we did a 2-day workshop with them. And at the end of it, they were like, oh, like, and it was this kind of, you know, because the way that the workshop runs, you're doing section by section, and then you kind of you piece all the pieces together, don't you? And there was just this silence around the room, wasn't there, of just like oh, we've got it, you know. And it was a real moment of clarity for everybody that had been there was quite, it would be fair to say, there was quite a lot of tension in the room where they were kind of arguing specific points, you know, about what we should be saying, what we stand for, what we don't. And at the end of it, it was a bit kind of magical, wasn't it? Like, it was just like this kind of calm just over everyone. It was like, we've got it. You know, we've kind of nailed it.
Yeah. Without a battle, without any need for a battle, they were all on the same page. It was just kind of pulling the threads together to help everybody to see that they could say the same thing, and all had the same values. But yeah, it is a wonderful moment, I think, when you bring that together for them.
You know, I've had some of those experiences too, where people at the end, they come together, they just start crying a little bit. Also, you know, they're a little tired from working for 2 days, but like they have tears, and there's something about the message that they receive at the end of that just kind of changes everything. But I think I would ask you, what do you feel like it is that now that they were missing? Like, even for people who are feeling this right now, like, what is it that they were missing and now they have, that since they have a clear message?
A couple of you know, things really spring to mind, but I think one of the things as we've gone through the brand scripting with clients is you know, actually part of positioning. So marketing, obviously, strategy is about understanding where you fit in the market, who you serve, who your people are. And that definitely is something that we, you know, really kind of thought about that a lot more in recent times, about how important that is, you know, how you take that messaging and how it has to match to everything else in your business and your organisation, how your operations work, how your sales work, how that links to service, how that links to, you know, customers coming back into you. And that positioning of business from a marketing standpoint, I think really is something that a lot of the organisations we've worked with have got fantastic businesses, are running really successful, you know, selling really successful products or services. And sometimes they've found themselves in a position where they hadn't really fully expected themselves to be. They're much more successful than they thought they were going to be. And their marketing positioning and strategy had not caught up with the reality of where they were now. And that's, you know, really exciting work for us, because that is businesses that are doing all these great things but haven't actually pulled it together in this kind of nice package. And I think that's some of the emotion that we get from people. And actually, sometimes, I think, speaking really candidly, sometimes those brand scripting sessions can be really challenging internally in the business, because people are thinking they're operating from different standpoints. And we've had two instances of two brother-led organisations where it's almost come to kind of fisticuffs about, you know, what they stand for and what, you know, who they serve and what their values are. And it's really kind of cathartic for a lot of businesses to kind of work through those. This is what we do. This is what we're trying to achieve for our customers. This is where we're taking them to.
That's so important, because you're right. There's so many companies out there and leaders who they're doing good work, they're doing good things, but they haven't been able to articulate their value in a way that takes up space in the market, right? They kind of just blend in with everybody else. So then they're stuck, like, you know, it's all about the relationships you have and the connections you make versus like being able to actually have a message out there that connects with the right audience, and not going through the process of pausing and saying, who are we? Who is our right client? What position are we going to take up? What problem are we going to solve? How do we show up as a guide? If you don't do that, then you just end up blending in the market. And also the saddest part for me is, like, you know, a lot of times we can sit down with these people, you have an hour conversation, you're like, oh my gosh, how are you not the biggest thing in the world? And then, and it's really because, well, like you said, they haven't been able to identify their position in the market and how to articulate that in a really powerful way. And you mentioned something else that is one of the things that makes me really excited about the things you guys are doing right now, is you're working with a lot of companies and helping them articulate that message and really find their positioning in the market. And you're doing it through marketing. But one of the things that you guys have started doing is really blending and helping people in the space of first talking about your product and service in the marketing, and then actually being able to deliver a product that lives up to the promise you did in the marketing, right? Like, that's another area that people often fall down on, is they talk a good game, but then their product that they actually deliver and the experience they deliver doesn't match up with the promise. And so you guys have started helping companies really lean into the unreasonable hospitality space and combine those two. And so, Julie, what really made you decide? I mean, you'd been doing marketing, you'd had some success in this space, and now you're adding this, you know, unreasonable hospitality side of things. Why? Why did you know, you had a great thing going. Why are you adding this other thing? And I mean, I know why, but like, I think it's a curious and very cool thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it's really exciting, actually. We're really enjoying sort of introducing this to the clients we've been working with, because I think there's so much focus on marketing and bringing in the leads and the sales, but there is very little that goes on to think about what happens beyond that. How are we actually serving our clients? How are we making sure that we retain our customers, that we generate good referrals from our customers? And that's the holy grail of marketing, essentially. We want our customers to advocate on our behalves, to do the marketing for us. And that only comes when you deliver something really special and you equip your customers with really interesting, genuine, authentic stories that they're excited to share with other people. So I think we were introduced to Wilkdara via StoryBrand at one of the StoryBrand summits. Could see immediately that there were connections between our, any business really that's in the business of serving customers. And just to give some background to that, so Wilkdara had a restaurant at 11 Madison Park in Manhattan. And one of the things that stood out to me about his story is that he was desperate for the restaurant to become the #1 in the world. He did everything he could with the food and the drink, and then realised that just wasn't enough. And it was the customer experience that was going to get him there. But one of the things that stood out was the way that he went around just transforming customer experience beyond the service. So when we deliver, if we deliver for our customers what we say we deliver, we think that that should be enough. And sadly, it's not enough, because that's what our customers are expecting, because that is what we've promised. So if we want our customers to go away and talk about us to other people and make recommendations, we have to go over and above that. And Will's story is a really really inspiring window into the ways that you can do that. And we've been delivering private workshops on this for a while now, and I've seen some fantastic ideas come out of that. One of the things that we really love is the way that you can get all different levels of the business around the table. And there's just a real spark of excitement when people realise that they can all have a role in the customer success. So we're excited now to be bringing that to a public workshop in London with you in June, JJ.
Yeah, we're going to be together in June to deliver both the StoryBrand and Unreasonable Hospitality workshop. So that, and because we really believe how this works so well together is, first, if you can actually identify the value that you bring to your customer in a way that makes them want to choose you as the product of choice or service of choice. And then once you understand that, how to actually rally your whole team around the idea of serving people well, so that then you continue to be that choice for them over and over and over again. And we're going to walk through literally step by step with both of these frameworks. We're going to walk through StoryBrand and help people identify their core message and their position in the market. And then we're going to actually walk through Unreasonable Hospitality. And so people can actually walk away with two things, their message and a new way of actually doing business and working with customers. And I'm so excited about this. And I think for a lot of people who have, if they've been around my world very much, they've heard about StoryBrand a lot, and I've talked about StoryBrand a lot. And I've also talked some about Unreasonable Hospitality, and everybody loves the idea behind Unreasonable Hospitality. I want to be hospitable. But the first thing you said I love is getting everybody around the table and being able to have them actually like getting different people's inputs of customer touch points. Like somebody who's a receptionist on the phone, they think of it differently than somebody who's a manager on the floor compared to the owner of the business. But when you have got what I'd love to hear a little bit is just some really practical things that you have seen either businesses experience or you experience yourself, of where people have taken these ideas and it's actually transformed the way that they approach customers. Because, Will Guidara really has this book that's like, it's like, oh, some people from Spain flew in and they wanted to see snow. So let's just rent a limo and buy some sleds and get hot chocolate and go to Central Park. And we're all like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And which it is amazing. But then I look at myself and I go, well, I'm probably not doing that. But, how do I incorporate Unreasonable Hospitality into my own work space? And so I'd love to just hear, because you've been doing this for a little bit, about some of the examples of things that you've seen companies do that really has elevated hospitality in big and small ways.
I think one of the things that, kind of linking back to what you said is that, businesses think that they're kind of competing on products or service or price. But the reality is they are competing on how they make people feel. And that is kind of where that service sits in. So I whenever we're doing a workshop, I always tell this story, because it's not necessarily about these audacious moments. It's about things where you feel seen, you feel value, it makes you feel something. So there's a hotel in Edinburgh called the George. And it's a very nice hotel. They actually feel very welcome and hospitable. The culture of the hotel feels very nice, wherever you are. But I had a particular instance where I was very short on time. I'd been to the gym. I rushed into breakfast and I needed to get going off to a meeting. And I'd ordered a coffee, I'd ordered a flat white, and when the coffee came over, the guy bringing it over had a big tray of different coffees and handed me a filter coffee. And I said, oh, no, I think mine's the flat white. And he said, I'm so sorry, I got the wrong order. And I said, that's fine, I'll have the filter coffee. And genuinely, I was in a hurry, filter coffee was fine. And then I wolfed down my breakfast, ran up to my room to, go and get my stuff to go to this meeting. And during that time, he had then made me a flat white and delivered it to my room for me. Now that is, absolutely exceptional service, in that I hadn't complained, I hadn't worried about it, but he made me feel seen and feel valued as a customer. And I think that is absolutely the epitome of unreasonable hospitality. It made me feel like, wow, this is incredible. And actually the cost of it to the hotel was a cup of coffee, and and I'm telling this story to, all your listeners who might go to Edinburgh and stay in the George, which you should do because it's fantastic. When people feel valued, when they feel seen, when they feel an emotion, a positive emotion connected somewhere, that's why they do business with them. That's why they go back time and time and again.
One of the other experiences that we've had that stood out is it's another hotel actually. And I should say that there is a lot of misunderstanding around it, that people think that it has to be for a hospitality-based industry for this to be relevant, and it absolutely isn't. We work with businesses in all different services. But this other hotel, it's a very modest hotel. It's a 3-star hotel. And whenever you go there, it doesn't matter who it is, if it's the cleaner, the maintenance man, the front desk, you are treated as if you are royalty when you go in there. People stop what they're doing, they pay attention to you, you have their time and their attention every time you go there. And it's those little touches that make all the difference.
Yeah, I would say some of my favorite companies are not even companies that are perfect, but they fix their mistakes well. I mean, that really, like when somebody owns it and then works to even if it wasn't their fault, sometimes it's just like, hey, I know this happened. We don't like it when it's happened, but here's where we're moving, and so there's so many opportunities. I think people don't even realize that they have, like those moments where there is points of tension, or when a mistake happens, the coffee is wrong, or, something like that. Those are moments we can think about and prepare for ahead of time. And then there's also just that moment of who are we when people walk in the door? We stop and we say hello. We stop and we acknowledge that there's a human there versus just letting them walk on by. So there's moments that all of these moments where customer interactions happen, that when you actually pause long enough to identify what those are and then say, how are we going to approach this? When somebody walks into our hotel, what do we do? When somebody gets the wrong order, what do we do? And writing those down and then finding ways to elevate those moments in a way where people are seen and understood. Now, all of a sudden, like you said, we're talking about them on podcasts, right? These are the moments now that other people are telling stories. You're going to tell anybody who comes to Edinburgh, that's where they need to stay because of this moment. And it really creates this culture within your company of that you become, first off, everybody on your team gets really excited about it. So they're talking about it, but you become the obvious choice for anybody who's in that area. And that's what, I love, obviously I'm a part of what you're doing because I'm joining you in London, but part of why I'm joining is because I love so much of what you're doing, right? This idea of helping companies. And I think if all companies out there can actually find a way to articulate their value clearly, their position in the market, what is the position they hold, and then deliver on that promise in a way that makes people feel seen and understood, there's no way people aren't choosing you as their company of choice. I mean, that is just, it's obvious to me. And being able to help good people and good companies do that is my favorite thing in the world. I love it so much. And so we are doing this in London, June 10th and 11th. And there are still a few spots left for people who want to come and experience this. And I'm going to be really spending the first day leading the StoryBrand side of things. And Julie and Sonya are going to be walking through with that as well. And then they are really going to take the lead on the Unreasonable Hospitality. And I'm going to be working with them on that. And so by the end of these 2 days, you as a company or a thought leader can walk out with plans for both being able to articulate your message in the market and position yourself strong, and then also have a plan for unreasonable hospitality so that you become the obvious choice for your customers. You stand out in the market. You are the person that everybody talks about and comes to. And so if people want to register for that, where can they register?
Oh, that's a great question. So you can go straight to our website and buy tickets online. So that is story22.co.uk. And it's on the homepage. You can click straight through from the homepage to the tickets. And, we're really looking forward to it because these are just such fun days. They're hard work. You're there to work. You're there to get something out of it. But at the end of it, you really have tangible assets that you can then go and take back to your business and start to make those changes. So, at the end of the Story Brand Day, you'll leave with your brand script, which is kind of that foundational piece of work for you to be able to elevate your marketing and your communication, both internally and externally. So, the brand script is, valuable to your team as well as valuable to your customers. And again, with that unreasonable hospitality, it's the start of this beautiful journey of how to elevate that experience for your customers.
There's a reason we do this, is because, like you said at the beginning, this to me is just a better way to do business. When you actually approach marketing, sales, and customer service from a space of actually serving people, caring for them, delivering incredible value, like, you should be able to articulate that. And it just makes doing business and life and all the things so much more fun. So I am so excited about this. This is kind of the first one we're doing in this space. And I hope we see so many people there. Plus, we're just going to have a really good time in London. So my whole family's coming. So if you want to meet my family, come to this as well. So the other thing too, is just like I said at the beginning, I just am so, I have loved watching what you do with your customers, how you inspire them, how you make them better and connect them with their customers in really powerful ways. And you continue to inspire me on so many levels. And you truly are badass softies. And so I'm so thankful that you would join me. And I'm so thankful that we get to do this in London.
Oh, thank you, JJ. It's been a pleasure.
I really can't wait for this workshop in London, and I hope that you will join us. Again, if you want to register for this workshop, go to story22.co.uk and you can sign up and join the three of us and some other friends of ours going through the process of helping companies actually clarify their message. So really be able to articulate the value your company offers in a way that connects with customers, and then actually practically walking through how to design unreasonable hospitality for your company. So you walk away with both. And the thing that I was reminded of today in our conversation was really how important this is, because I know that even for myself, I know that when I show up, I deliver a ton of value, but do I articulate that in a way that actually serves my customers? Meaning, do I articulate it in a way that shows them the value I can bring so that they can actually be better at their business, right? Like, if my marketing is aligned with the products I'm delivering, then I get to serve my customers even better. When you clarify your marketing message, it's about service to your customer, because more people understand why they need you and they actually get the help that they need. And then when you deliver that with exceptional quality and service, come on. Again, it's so easy to see how those two things work together in a way that really serves your customer. And even now for myself, I really do have a hard time marketing myself. You don't hear a lot of commercials on this podcast. Well, I need to be better about that. I need to be better about talking the things that I'm offering for people so that if they need it and it can help, they get it. And I even need to work on clarifying my message more and putting it out there and then serving people in a way that matches that. I think that was just a strong reminder for me that I need to be living in that as well. And so if that's something, again, that you are interested in, that would be helpful for you, come join us in London, June 10th and 11th. 2 days, you get your brand message clarified, understand your position in the market and how to articulate it, and then also create unreasonable hospitality for your customers. Go to story22.co.uk and we'll see you there, and we are going to have an incredible time. So as I wrap things up, I'd like to leave you with this. May you have the boldness to tell the truth about what you offer, not louder, not flashier, but clearer, so people who need you can finally understand why you matter. May you see your marketing not as a performance, but as an act of service, a way to help someone make a confident decision instead of leaving them confused or overwhelmed. May you make promises you actually intend to keep and build something so aligned, so thoughtful that your customers feel it the moment they experience you. And may you create a business where what you say and what you deliver match so closely that people don't need convincing. They simply choose you. Because we believe you can be both ambitious and kind, fun and driven, powerful and deeply human. Your leadership can inspire, your success can have soul, and your ambition can make space for everyone. That's why you're a badass softie. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. BadassSoftie.com is crafted by Fruitful Design and Strategy.